All right, welcome back, everybody. Talk to you guys in fourth, fifth, and sixth period today about where we're going the next 2 weeks with Gandhi and Indian independence. So let's get right to this. You should have a couple things been posted already. You should have looked at your packet that you see up on your screen right now, Turning Point 7 packet. The slides for this presentation I'm about to show you are already posted on the Google Classroom as well. So you can have those up as you watch, or you can be working on those kind of independently, whichever way works for you guys. So you should be down here in the yellow section as it always is. Notice again, this is your homework tonight through screencast, so it should only take you about maybe 10-15 minutes to get done. We're going to start with the word imperialism. Remember that at the bottom you need to make your own Quizlets. You need to go to Quizlet.com and create your own set of Quizlet flashcards based on all of these words that you see here. So notice you get 2 points, one for copying the words down, and then one for putting your link to your Quizlet. You guys, many of you guys have been really good about doing that, so that shouldn't be a problem this week. So let's get started. Again, this is the same presentation that's in your Google Classroom, so you can watch me and get deeper explanation, or you can just take the information directly from the Google Slides. Either way is fine with me. All right, so here we go. Your first word is going to be imperialism. So it is the intent of a powerful nation, in this case, Great Britain or England. It's the same country, just with kind of different names, depending on what you want to call it. To control the politics, the economics, the culture of weaker nations. So you'll notice that this, England or Great Britain has been, looked at as an octopus. They have their kind of tentacles in all of these different countries, one of which is India down here, but Egypt, New Zealand, Ireland, Jamaica, Canada, all of those things. And what they're trying to do is to control those places so that they can get the benefit of those places while controlling them at the same time, mostly controlling them for economic reasons. Again, if I go too fast, just simply press pause on the video or go to the Google Slides and you can get the definition there and just type that into your packet today. I'm going to try to get this done fairly quickly so that you can go kind of at your own pace here. So again, just press pause if I go too fast. The next one, nationalism. Interesting word because it has a lot of connotations nowadays for what's going on nowadays, but it can really kind of mean two different things. It's a strong loyalty and devotion to your own country, and it can take on really different ideas depending on who's using the term of nationalism. If it's a person like Adolf Hitler using nationalism and trying to tell people that they need to be proud of their German heritage, that was a nationalism that was pretty evil because it tried to get rid of other people's heritage at the same time, most notably the heritage of Jewish people. But if you're just talking about nationalism, in this case, when we're talking about the Indians in India, they're trying to be nationalistic to try to get rid of the British, who are oppressing them at this point, and are trying to take over have taken over their country, and they are just wanting to express their own nationalism in order to be Indian rather than to be British. A dependent colony. Dependent colony, you'll notice in the picture here, you have one British guy, and the rest of these people are Indian, nationality-wise, but they are working for the British government. So it's a place where only a few European officials, in this case British officials, ruled all of the non-European native peoples. So we're not talking about a place where like the entire country of Great Britain comes and moves, and you have a bunch of people who are trying to take over the country and make it theirs. We're talking about a place that stays pretty much massively native, but it's ruled by the European country, in this case Great Britain. The next word is infrastructure. Infrastructure can be used in all sorts of things, not just in history. It is the basic services, the structures, the facilities in any country. So we're talking about things like mass transit, roads, sewers, bridges, all these things down here where it says infrastructure are the things that you're seeing, right? A country with really good infrastructure has all of these things and is fairly well off. The United States is a great example of a country with really good infrastructure. And what we're going to talk about this week and next is that India didn't have a great infrastructure, and the British actually bring that to Great Britain, or to India, sorry. This next one's a little complicated. We'll get into this at the end of this week, early next week. The poem that I'm referring to is a poem called The White Man's Burden. It's by a guy named Rudyard Kipling. Rudyard Kipling was also the author of a famous set of books called The Jungle Book. And the basic idea behind the White Man's Burden poem, we'll read a little bit of it later this week, is that it is the burden, again, this is back in the 1800s, so it's the burden of white people to take care of and to civilize all of these native kind of heathens and savages around the world, including those natives in India, the native Indians. It has a lot to do with racism. It has a lot to do with people who are anti-Christian, or they are thinking that the natives' religion is non-Christian. So the Hindus and the Muslims that are in India aren't Christian enough for them, aren't Christian at all, and it really boils down to a very racist view of the world. We have to take care of, again, this is me taking on the voice of people in the 1800s. White people have to take on this heavy burden of civilizing all of these native peoples around the world. And you get this really racist caricatures of native peoples all over the world, of Africans, of Cubans, of people in Hawaii, of Chinese people, of Middle Eastern people, and of Indian people, and you get these really racist caricatures. And here it is; it's the United States and it's Great Britain who are leading them to civilization. Right? It's a pretty awful way to look at the world, and it's really not how you should look at the world in modern times. But in the 1800s, this is definitely the way that many British people and Americans looked at the world. Again, you get it even, they were even advertising it, to advertise soap, right? To lightening, the double meaning of lightening, meaning to lift off the burden, but also to lighten kind of a skin color, and the, virtues of cleanliness, for these native peoples. We're going to talk a lot more about racism this week, and why it's important and why we should pay attention to it in India so that we can kind of recognize it in other places as well, like around our modern times. Teach you a little Indian word here. The British Raj. Raj just means rule, so it's the British rule of India from 1858 to 1947. That time period is called the British Raj, the time where the British were there and ruling the country as their own. And so you'll notice that date of 1947, right after World War II, when the country is basically given its independence, along with a country called Pakistan. So British rule of subcontinent from 1858 to 1947. We're going to get into religions here really quickly. And we are going to get into religions because there are two really important ones in India that are in conflict quite a bit of the time. The first one is Hinduism. The majority of people in India are Hindu at this time. It's a polytheistic religion, meaning there are many gods or goddesses, and they can manifest themselves in a bunch of different ways. And they believe that there are kind of many paths to God. There's some reincarnation aspects in Hinduism. I don't need you to know a ton about Hinduism in general, other than Gandhi, the kind of spiritual leader of India, was a Hindu, and that the majority of people in India are Hindus. And they don't necessarily, at this point, get along with the other major religion in India at the time, which is Islam, or the Muslim belief system. Again, if I'm going too fast, just please press pause and make sure you get the stuff written down in your packet here. You can pause at any time. It's all up to you. So the other major religion is Islam, one that's found throughout the Middle East. And the difference between these two major religions is you have Hinduism on the one hand, which is very polytheistic, many gods, many aspects of gods. And you have Islam, which is very monotheistic, meaning only one God. They worship Allah. Allah is so sacred that they don't even put him in pictures or make any drawings of him. That's considered kind of against their religion. And so you have these two, very clashing styles in India, and the people don't look different. They look Indian. If you were just to look at them, you wouldn't be able to say, well, that's a Muslim and that's a Hindu. They don't look any different from each other. They wear some different clothing and some different dress and some styles and those type of things. But looking at them, you wouldn't be able to say, oh, well, that person is a whatever. And so these people don't really get along very well. There's a constant fear by Muslims that they are going to be oppressed by Indians, and there's a constant fear that the Muslims will rise up and try to rebel against the Hindus in the country. Another Indian word here, sepoy, basically means infantry soldier, but it's come to be termed as someone who is Indian but is working for the British Army. Many people in India during the British Raj, during that time period, found sepoy soldiers to be what they would consider traitors, someone who is a sellout, if that word is still being used, right? A band or an artist becomes a sellout when they don't stay true to kind of what they were, got them to the top. And in this case, the same thing kind of holds true, is that these Indians start to work for the British government, and they sell out and start working basically for the enemy. We're going to get a lot more into the sepoy soldiers here a little bit later this week. Now we get to some of our people here. Mohandas K. Gandhi, you'll hear about him referred to him as a whole bunch of other names. The one consistent is Gandhi. This is his real name, Mohandas Karamchand, I believe. Gandhi. You can hear him referred to in the movie we're going to watch as Mohan, or Mahatma, which means great soul, or Bapu, which means father. They refer to him in a whole bunch of different ways. The thing that you need to really remember about Gandhi is that he used what we are going to term as nonviolent resistance. It is not passive. He didn't just sit by. He uses nonviolent resistance. He resists the British at every turn, and does it nonviolently. And lots of people after Gandhi use his ideas. Martin Luther King in the United States, Nelson Mandela in South Africa. And so he becomes kind of the leader of that entire independence movement in India by using nonviolent resistance. And that's the focus for these next 2 weeks, is nonviolent resistance, which is I believe this is in Hindi, satyagraha, which means basically trying to achieve some sort of social change, trying to make your point heard and make your point known with any method that does not include violence, but includes some sort of resistance. So you'll see down here, there's a bunch of different, I pulled instances from the U.S. Civil Rights Movement. So you have a march right down here, nonviolent. It's a bunch of people marching and trying to prove their point. You have anti-war protesters here putting little daisies and flowers in the guns of National Guard soldiers during the Vietnam War protests. Down in the U.S. Civil Rights Movement, you have people, you notice here it says don't buy at something, whatever store. This is a boycott. They are choosing to not shop and use their money to speak for them. All of those things are examples of nonviolent resistance. And Gandhi uses some of these. We're going to talk about the salt marches that Gandhi uses. He goes to jail quite often. There's a lot of different versions of nonviolent resistance that Gandhi tries and uses effectively. In the end, what Gandhi is hoping for, what Gandhi and other Indian leaders are hoping for, is Swaraj, which is the Indian word for basically self-government. the ability to hold their own elections, to decide for themselves who is going to rule India. And that's really, truly the end game. The important thing for Indians is Indian independence. Great Britain leaves, and when they leave, we get to decide who and how we are going to run our own country. So, Swaraj. We're going to watch this, I believe, Thursday of this week, Friday of this week sometime. We're going to watch the section of the Gandhi movie, which is an excellent film, by the way. Hopefully you really enjoy it as we watch it over the next few days, over the next 2 weeks. But the Amritsar massacre is a point at which the British kind of reach a point of no return. There are demonstrators who are holding a giant meeting at a religious festival talking about protesting against the British government. The British government, under a guy named General Dyer, come in and basically kill somewhere between 400 and 1,000. It's probably more around the 1,000 range, men, women, and children. Constant firing for a couple of minutes as people basically can't leave this square that they are attending this religious festival in. It is a huge turning point in Gandhi's idea of what it means to be truly independent from Great Britain. All right, you'll notice Gandhi here in the picture, but we have one of our last two people, Jawaharlal Nehru. Most people just refer to him as Nehru. He becomes the first Prime Minister of India. You're going to see him throughout the film, but he is very important in Indian independence. He becomes the Prime Minister of India. He is a Hindu. He is one of Gandhi's close friends. And basically takes many of his cues about what to do and how to achieve Indian independence from Gandhi himself. So, again, you don't need to know how to pronounce his name, but I believe it's pronounced Jawaharlal Nehru. I know the last part is correct, Nehru. And then lastly, you have Muhammad Ali Jinnah, also a good friend of Gandhi's. But this time, this person is a Muslim. He becomes the first president of Pakistan, which is the Muslim country that breaks off from India once they gain independence. But you'll see him throughout the film as well. He is in constant contact and working with Gandhi throughout the independence movement, trying to maintain that Muslims have a say in some sort of independence movement. And that they be treated fairly, which Gandhi totally agrees with, and pushes for most of the independent movement as well. So, hopefully you get your homework done tonight. Not a lot. Again, make sure you get your Quizlet done. Go to Quizlet.com. Make your set of 14 or 15 flashcards, however many words there are here, and then make sure you put that link in the bottom of your packet. Right in here, and you are done for the day. Hopefully you guys had a great break. I know we got a little chance to talk about it today during the short amount of time we were in class, and yeah, we'll get started as we go, and we will finish or start tomorrow with our reading on the roots of Western imperialism. We'll be doing that in class tomorrow. If you want to preview that, you can certainly go ahead and preview that reading tonight if you'd like to. Have a great day, rest of the day, and I will see you on Tuesday.